This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities.
Welcome to Business, Equity, and Opportunities, guiding you through the life-changing world of entrepreneurship. I'm Scott Sander. If you're joining us for the first time, here's what we do. Each week we feature stories in 7 areas to help you sketch out your own small business success. We look at getting started, acquiring capital, accounting and bookkeeping, staying on top of the week in business, and running your business. We also focus on an industry and share a success story. You'll hear from business professionals, community leaders, our own team of experts, sharing experiences so you can learn to build and grow your own company. We're here Sunday mornings on Wish TV, or watch the live stream on wishtv.com. You can see our content and then share it with anybody who you think would like it on BE&O.com. Our site grows every week with new stories and resources. While there, sign up for our podcast, listen on your schedule. We also encourage you to sign up for our weekly newsletter that we update every Tuesday. Now to the business of business and what's coming up today on Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Women who own business spend a day at City Hall. We learn about the Indy Biz Pass and how it may help launch your business. Tamise is back to talk accounting and bookkeeping. We have a truly sweet industry focus, and we'll wrap things up with our success story. First, let's get started by meeting the June Minority or Women-Owned Vendor of the Month.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Getting started.
Nick Lunn is the owner of Cornerstone Construction Group, specializing in private, commercial, and government construction work.
Cornerstone Construction Group, we started off as a civil construction company, and we've done a lot of work for several clients that you probably know of, such as NiSource or NIPSCO, Citizens Energy Group, the airport, Indianapolis International Airport, a lot of paving, concrete, erosion control. Well, we've evolved over time, and we've branched off into the vertical construction space, where we have great people that came aboard, such as Maurice Dunn, and he runs our vertical construction side of things. And we've partnered with different mentors in this industry, such as Shield Sexton, who have really helped us to really grow that area as well. But we've been in the business since 2013, roughly, and we've had a substantial growth, which has been exciting. A little fun and a little hurt sometimes, but it was well worth it. Winning this award is incredible. One, it's the city of Indianapolis. I was excited to be here in the city, growing my business and hiring great people in the organization, but more importantly, to be recognized by the mayor's office as being a diverse business of the month is huge. One, because we are a diverse business in general. When you look at our landscape, we have different cultures and different ethnicities and people that represent Cornerstone. When you think about Cornerstone, it's not Nick. Cornerstone is us. That's why we say in our office, together we win. So this award means a great deal to me, to be honored by the city of Indianapolis, especially with the diverse department that they have and the push, the initiative they have for minority and women-owned and veteran-owned businesses. I'm a huge proponent of that in this space. I started the company when I was in my garage, right? I literally had to borrow $2,500. I went to the junkyard and I bought 2 trucks. One drove and one I towed home, and one sat. And I kept it as a reminder to me that if you have enough persistence, enough tenacity, enough grit, and you keep the focus, the goal in the front of you, you can achieve whatever you want to achieve. Hence, today we have grown tremendously, and being in this construction space and having mentors like a Shield Sexton in our lives, that helps us exponentially grow. And so business is great. I can't complain about it, even though sometimes I want to, but it's great. Business is great, and I really appreciate being in this space as well. So one of the things that I sit as an MBIC chair for Mid-States Minority Development Council, and one of the committees that I sit on, at least the one I chair, I'm a big proponent of XB to XB spend, right? Spending with other minority, women-owned, veteran-owned businesses. Why? Because it supports that fabric of our community. When you look at the fabric of our community, it speaks to what the business landscape should look like. And so for me to push that, not only with myself and what we've done here, but with other businesses. As a matter of fact, I just hired a demolition company out in Greenfield. We're preparing to build a 9-building facility. And I hired a woman-owned business to be the excavation company for that. Why? Because I believe in that fabric, right? Not only that, but I sit on a subcommittee also promoting XB to XB spend. it's important that we support this initiative because I believe that if we all play together, it can help us all benefit together as well. So, and I believe that even with the mentorship, they also believe the same thing in regards to how the fabric of this works. I know I work with, one of my mentors is Matt Barnes, and he is a big proponent of seeing Cornerstone really take off. Not only Cornerstone, but several other companies that we work with currently. So I'm a huge proponent in regards to that landscape. Well, number one is my people, the folks that work here at Cornerstone. I mean, without them, I wouldn't be where I am. And don't get me wrong, I get up, I put my boots on, and I go to work just as much, but my people. And then knowing that my people can go out to the communities in which we serve, in which we truly love to be in, and really put their hard work and their effort in. When I see them back in the project management room and they're going through projects that's in our community, really, that's a huge deal, right? Because I know that we're gonna be represented on that specific project in that community. We like to hire the locals, right? Reaching out to people that maybe you've never been in construction before, and you're interested in learning project management, project engineering. As a matter of fact, I sat down with two young men on Saturday, briefly, and they have an aspiration to go to Purdue. They have aspirations to go to MIT. They have these different aspirations in our community. They just need that extra support. So with us being in the community working and being able to recognize that, as a matter of fact, I went to Tinley. And Tinley is a great school, and there's two students that we talked about and talked about coming over here at Cornerstone as well, and they both want to be an engineer. So again, being in the community, not just our community here locally, which is Cornerstone, but our community at large, that's what makes a big difference for me. That's what warms my heart, to see this thing in action, like see it actually playing out. Sometimes it's surreal because I look back and I'm like, wow. I think even on Saturday, I think I was here at the office on Saturday, and I looked at the trucks and I said, wow, the mayor's gonna be here. This is gonna be incredible. He gets to see my trucks line up. Well, I remember when I only had the two trucks. One, remember, I towed it to my house, and one I drove. So now to have trucks that represent that diverse community, that says a lot. I don't know about anybody else, but to me, that brightens my heart, so.
Getting started. Made possible by the Indiana Economic Development Corporation.
To learn more about the Minority-Owned Vendor of the Month program or Cornerstone Construction, we have links at beoshow.com. If you'd like to ask us a question about your business being featured on our show, shoot us an email. We'd like to talk, beo@wishtv.com. After the break, we access capital, a segment that looks at a new program giving you access to social capital. This is Business Equity and Opportunities. I'm Scott Sander. Time to access capital. The Office of Minority and Women Business Development partnered with the National Association of Women Business Owners, the Indianapolis chapter, to host a day at City Hall for its members.
This is Business Equity and Opportunities. Access to capital.
We're so fortunate that Indianapolis has a NAWBO chapter, because there are many cities in our country that don't have a chapter of NAWBO. Yes, we are a nationwide organization, but we're so unique. And the resources that are available for women-owned businesses are just absolutely unprecedented. You know, the opportunity to network, the opportunity to learn, the opportunity to grow. You know, we have wonderful corporate partners who support us in more ways than you can ever imagine. I couldn't even imagine being a woman business owner and not being a member of NAWBO, because it's just been so invaluable to my business and to women business owners around the city.
Over a decade ago now, we developed the Government Affairs Committee for NAWBO Indianapolis with a true mission of bipartisan, by design, and on purpose. Indianapolis has a strong relationship with both major political parties, and we want to make sure that our members felt that and had access to both of them equally. So it is a true partnership in our leadership.
It's so important that business owners, or that just community members understand what's going on within our municipalities, that they understand what's happening at the city level. So many times we see things on the news, we see things on television, and we don't know where the ideas originated. They originated right here. So it's absolutely imperative as a business owner that you show up, that you're present, that you're in the room, so you can hear ideas that when they're presented. Also, the beauty about being in the room at the municipal level or even at the state level is that there's opportunities for you to speak, for you to voice your opinion, to offer your perspective, for you to ask questions. Because once it gets voted on, once it becomes an ordinance at the city level or a law at the state level, it's too late. And that's where a lot of people are. So that's why it's so great to have these women business owners in the room right now, where they're hearing directly from city agencies about what opportunities are going to be let within the city and what opportunities they could possibly pursue for their businesses.
So this is our second event for NAWBO Day at City Hall. Technically, we're at the City County building downtown Indianapolis on Market Street. And this is a wonderful partnership with the City of Indianapolis and their agencies to expose our members to the opportunities that are here within the City of Indianapolis for their business, as well as just understanding the way local government works. It is absolutely imperative for women business owners in particular to be at the table, because if you're not at the table, you're usually what's on the menu. So we want to make sure that you're at the table and able to help be part of that decision-making process and understand maybe you're needing a loan and you need to find out more about that. And we have resources available that can help our women business owners find that information. And then just networking in general, just expand to other like-minded individuals like yourself if you're an entrepreneur.
I think there's so many balls that you're juggling as a business owner, and so I think you're aware that I do need to be in the room, but it's making it a priority. I've got to prioritize being in the room at the city level, at the state level, so that I can understand what's going on, so that my voice can be heard. Because when you're running the business, and there's so many facets to that. But I think it's prioritizing the need for you to make it a priority.
We hear it all the time from our members. Absolutely more access to capital, more access to opportunities with contracts, both at all the federal, the state, and the local level. The City of Indianapolis has a great program where they actually have goals set aside for each contract for those participation dollars for women business owners. And so more needs to be done. So that's why we're here every year at the city.
My wish for the future is that for every woman, every girl that has ever had that spark of wanting to be a business owner, to chase her dream, to not be afraid, to not hold herself back, and to make her dreams of being a business owner a reality. I think something really interesting is that most women now were Girl Scouts when they were little. When we were Girl Scouts, we sold cookies. We were entrepreneurs and didn't even realize it when we were selling all those cookies and delivering all those cookies back in the day. So every woman's got it. We've just got to fan that flame. Sitting in a room and seeing my counterparts, seeing my partners, seeing other women business owners and and talking to them and seeing their excitement, their energy, we feed off of one another. So I think that's what really gets me excited, is seeing them, seeing their growth, hearing that they're the prime on large projects that normally went to male-owned businesses, seeing them secure contracts in industries and sectors that were predominantly dominated by men. I think that's what really makes me excited, to see the growth that we're achieving right now.
If you'd like to know more about gaining access to capital, look for the links on our website, beoshow.com. Coming up, our own CFO, Tamise, is back with us. Before that, though, the Indy Biz Pass, what it is, who needs one, and how you can get one. And check out the InnoPower Minority Business Week, kicking off tomorrow with the conference streaming on wishtv.com, June 15th. Welcome back to Business Equity and Opportunities. Time for This Week in Business. Starting and building a business comes with a risk. studies show far more fail than succeed. There is, though, a new place in central Indiana aimed at beating those numbers.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. This Week in Business.
Emil Ekiyor is the founder and CEO of InnoPower Indy. He introduces us to the new Indy Biz Pass.
We're here at Nexus Impact Center, a co-working space here in Indianapolis. We partnered with Nexus Impact Center, P30, and Speak Easy to create the Indy Biz Pass. The sole purpose of the Indy Biz Pass is to create access for emerging entrepreneurs here in Indianapolis. We saw data that showed 8 out of 10 black businesses shut down in 16 months. And one of the key issues was access to space, office space, or just space so they could do their work. So through an investment from the Indianapolis African American Quality of Life Initiative, we were able to bring this co-working spaces together and find out how do we create access for black business owners. So the community we've created, or the community we will create, will support those business owners for a whole year. So 100 business owners will have access to any one of those co-working spaces 24/7 for a year. The idea is hopefully we've helped them grow, so now they can turn around and be members of these co-working spaces. So we've helped increase the access to diversity for these co-working spaces, and we've helped improve access to working environments and networks for our black business owners here in our city.
So the Speakeasy is Indy's first co-working space. We are located on 54th on Winthrop. We're coming up on our 12th anniversary. The Speakeasy was started during a time when co-working really wasn't something that Indianapolis knew a ton about, and was started by a bunch of people in the tech space. So thinking coding, developing, building things from the ground up. Over time, pre-COVID, post-COVID, we've come to adopt a lot of remote work, a lot of solopreneurs, entrepreneurs of industries of all types. So we say that we are industry agnostic. So Emil and I have actually worked together on a number of projects in the past, and when he approached my predecessor with an opportunity to lower barriers of entrepreneurship to black founders, it's an easy yes, because we want to add to the diversity and the accessibility of resources for entrepreneurs of all types in the city of Indianapolis. So the Indy Biz Pass represents everything that the Speakeasy stands for.
P30 is a co-working space that is operating as an entrepreneur incubator. We're here to provide resources and create pathways of upward mobility for our Far East Side residents, and creating a space and opportunity for small business owners and entrepreneurs to be able to launch. What's unique about our facility is the fact that we recognize the community that we're in and the need for economic development and the need for resources to be accessible for our community residents as well. So what's unique about us is that we are just a space where people continue to gather, provide the resources necessary for our community residents, allow them to be able to rent out space for events, and the several amenities that we have available for our members as well, to eliminate the barriers that will prevent them from being successful.
Nexus Impact Center is a co-working space that is focused on social impact. So co-working spaces usually have different niches. Ours is around using your business for good. So advancing some type of cause as either a nonprofit, a social enterprise, a B Corp, or even just a corporate socially responsible company. People can rationalize, well, I can just work at home, or I can work at a coffee shop, or I can work at a library. But what they miss out when they do all of those things is the people that will help them grow their business, the people that will help connect them to customers. There are resources that they can get here that they can't get if they're working in any of those spaces. So about 50% of our co-working members are people that are not white. And then about 40% of our co-working members and office owners are women. So we, unlike some spaces that are just for women or just for tech industry or just for the food industry, we have a lot of diversity. And so we feel like we've been very well received, and it's mainly word of mouth. We haven't done a ton of marketing, so somebody comes here, they realize the connections they're getting are really helping them learn how to better do business, who to connect with to sell, and then they tell someone else and they say, you should really be a part of this space.
What we hope to accomplish is just showing the power of collaborations, building an identifiable ecosystem, getting organizations to share resources, work together, that's the only way we're going to get to collective impact. So we just want to practice that. We want to be the example. So the Indy Biz Pass hopefully serves as an example of how we can all combine efforts, bring what we bring, and really build this environment that we all hope to create here in Indianapolis.
This Week in Business is made possible by InnoPower.
Other events to put on your calendar for the coming weeks in business. The Office of Minority and Women-Owned Business is hosting a panel discussion, Best Practices, Strategies for Success. Runs Tuesday, the 13th, from 9:30 to 1 at the AMP at 16 Tech. The City Department of Public Works is hosting its first diversity outreach event, sharing opportunities with minority, women, veteran, and disabled-owned businesses. Thursday, June 29th from 8:30 to 10:30 in the evening. We'll have more about this in our show next week. And check out the InnoPower Minority Business Week, kicking off tomorrow with the conference streaming on wishtv.com, June 15th. For more information, we always have links at beoshow.com. And if you or your business has an event you'd like us to mention, send us an email at beo@wishtv.com. Next, though, our bookkeeping buddy, Ty Shea. Don't go anywhere.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities, Accounting and Bookkeeping.
Time for accounting and bookkeeping on business, equity, and opportunities. One of our best sources of information is in our own backyard. Ty Shea, the CFO of Circle City Broadcasting. Ty, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Scott. Doing great. Thank you.
I hardly have to tell you, because you have been one of our most steadfast contributors, that we are celebrating a first-year anniversary here on Business, Equity, and Opportunities. And it got me to thinking about annual tasks, things that you do every year. At home, it may be cleaning out the garage. In a business sense, though, are there things that you regularly schedule or would encourage people to, in terms of the dollars and cents, to do sort of an annual look?
Certainly, and first of all, one exciting milestone that we've reached here, certainly. No question, there are, and I even put, reminders in my calendar on an annual basis of things to look at different times of the year, whether that is, reviewing our insurance policies and our coverages and things like that, things that you generally renew annually, and as part of that renewal process, taking a close look and making sure you have appropriate coverage, making sure you have documented all of the assets in place that need to be covered, things like that. And that can also mean really mundane tasks, like looking through your fixed asset listing, even if it has several hundred items on it. Okay, are there things that we've disposed of in the past few years that we no longer have? Let's take those off and make sure we, report those and let our accountant know when they're preparing, our year-end taxes, things like that. And I've got an entire list of those, and they span the year, but no question. And for me personally, I like to tick off some of those things in non-busy times when I've got some time that I can fill with some of these taxes and check those boxes at maybe slower times of the year.
I think that's an important thing to maybe drill down a little bit on more, because some of us may be inclined to think, okay, the money part I'm going to handle first of the year, because we always relate it mentally to taxes or whatnot. But if you do that, you may be creating an enormous amount of work for yourself if you don't, say, in the middle of October and in the middle of April and mid-June, do some of those things regularly.
No question. And what at least I found in my experience is that there are different deadlines for different aspects of your business. And so it often spans throughout the entire calendar year. So there's always something kind of looming, coming up around the corner. Just when you maybe take a breath and think it's time to relax, well, we've got this next box to check and next thing to do anyway. And so and often what I found is, many times, insurance policy plans, benefit plans, things of that nature aren't necessarily always tied to your fiscal year. Mm-hmm. And so in some ways it helps to stay sane, and that you don't have one deadline for every single aspect. It's not always a bad idea to space them out throughout the 12 months of the year.
I feel like now I've talked to you enough that I can probably correctly guess that at some point years ago you were a daily reminder kind of a guy, kept a notebook of here's what I want to do. Are you now technologically moving that over, like getting reminders, like setting either in your computer or your phone or whatnot, saying, hey, listen, 7 months from now at 9 o'clock in the morning, remind me of this?
Sure, and that spans. I do put those reminders in my, in my phone and in my computer as well. And those are reminders, and we talked about it in the past, like contracts that are coming up for renewal, right? The important contracts for the business. I will put a tickler into my calendar reminding me, hey, this contract expires 60, 90 days from now. Maybe it's time to begin that negotiation process with that vendor and things of that nature. And so, yes, it's the way of the world. Part of being accessible is also having access to all that information when you need it, and keeping it electronically certainly works for me anyway.
Things are all coming full circle now. You said that, and I'm like, that's right. He told us some contracts are an automatic rollover if you don't give notice, so tell yourself ahead of time if you don't want to do that. I'm learning, Ty, and our friends are as well. Thanks for the time. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Scott. Likewise. Take care.
For more information about accounting and bookkeeping or any of the topics we cover, visit beoshow.com. That's where you sign up for our newsletter and subscribe to our Business Equity and Opportunities podcast. Listen whenever you want. A bit later, a recap of a recent confection convention. Next, though, running your business day to day. We'll be back in 95 seconds.
Every business is unique, and every business has a target audience. Circulus Digital Media can help you connect and grow your customer base with turnkey digital solutions that are nimble to reach a customer base that spans the globe. Pinpoint a specific audience down to the smallest details. No matter the size of your business, put Circulus Digital Media to work for you and get results. This is Business Equity and Opportunities, running your business day to day.
The 2023 InnoPower Minority Business Week starts June 12th through June 16th. We are excited about this year's lineup. We have Teresa Lubbers, President of Sagamore Institute. We have U.S. Senator Todd Young as a speaker at our kickoff event. We have U.S. Senator Tim Scott, a presidential candidate, giving some words of encouragement to entrepreneurs here in Indianapolis. We're excited to have Terry Morris.
As a part of this effort at Lilly, we redefine our diversity and inclusion office to include equity. And with this introduction, we define equity for our enterprise so that we were clear about how we should be implementing that within our world. And the key part of it is the acknowledgement that of the barriers that some have had that have prevented their full participation and access. And that's how we have pursued widening that aperture of opportunity by intentionally addressing the barriers that some have had. And it has led to more jobs, more contracts, more opportunity that had been elusive for some.
So I define equity as meeting people where they are. So we know that everyone has a difference. And as I think about equity versus equality, equality is you give everybody the same thing at the same time. Mm-hmm. So it's important for us to first start with equity so you can meet people where they are, and then we can meet equality.
Just an amazing group of professionals that all live here in Indianapolis. Lauren Peterson James, Timothy Robinson with Lumina Foundation. Just a great group of individuals who have come together to share how do we accelerate productivity in our communities here in Indiana, and what are the opportunities that we have today.
And so that's how Business Equity for Indy came together, pretty in short order by CEOs who were looking to make a change and hit the ground running.
From that conversation, a partnership took place between Central Indiana Corporate Partnership, the Indy Chamber, with support from the Indianapolis Urban League and our friend Tony Mason there. So that really became the launching platform then for real change here in Central Indiana around the participation of Black people and other peoples of color in the Central Indiana economy.
The theme of the conference this year is Shared Vision, Shared Destination. We just came through 3 tough years with COVID, racial tensions, and I think it's time for us to come together to understand where are we headed, and how do we know when we reach that destination, and how do we all come together to drive change and to drive the energy needed to get to that destination.
Support is one of the biggest things that is lacking in terms of either mentorship or sponsorship for particularly Black-owned women or Black-owned businesses or women-owned businesses. And for me, it's just that we're already creative, we're already resilient, like Tamara just mentioned, but it's twofold. On one end, people recognize that and put us in positions to either clean up messes, hold it down when there's holes or gaps, and so they're trusting us in that way, and yet still not promoting us and recognizing that as leadership and as skills that are valuable on the other hand.
Our mission is to mobilize people, ideas, and investments to ensure that every woman and girl in our community has access to the opportunity they need to reach their full potential, no matter their place, race, or identity. And the way we do that, in part, is by giving grants to not-for-profits who are doing a great job in the community, including ones like the Latinas Welding Guild and She Event and Dress for Success that support women, whether they want to be entrepreneurs or whether they want to rise up in their careers.
The call to action for our community is this: it's coming together and building an identifiable ecosystem that allows all of us to benefit from what we are all doing together.
We do a lot of outreach in the community. We give back to the community by donation. But we really, post George Floyd, wanted to be intentional about how we spend our money.
Everything that moves around supply diversity, we can't afford for it to be stagnant, right? Because the business opportunities are not stagnant. And so oftentimes we need a refresh. And I looked at business equity for Indy as one of the refreshers that we need that can have a trickle-down impact to help us do supply diversity better.
So our goal here with the InnoPower Minority Business Conference is all the mindset of collaboration, the mindset of accelerating opportunity for those who have been left behind.
And check out the InnoPower Minority Business Week, kicking off tomorrow with the conference streaming on wishtv.com June 15th. A bit later, our success story. But next, though, a truly sweet convention is coming to Indianapolis next year. Details are next. Stay with us. Carrie Abbott is the owner and founder of Newfangled Confections in downtown Indianapolis. Recently, she attended a convention of like-minded candy creators held in Chicago. We asked her for a confection convention recap.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Industry Focus.
I own a business called Newfangled Confections where we manufacture and sell candy. And Newfangled Confections makes our signature candy called Friddle, a fudge-like brittle. And then also we acquired an existing company called The Best Chocolate in Town. So Newfangled Confections, then we make the candy Friddle, which has national distribution. And then also we manufacture chocolate for The Best Chocolate in Town, and we've got a little retail store on Mass Ave. Newfangled Confections is a member of our association, trade association, called the National Confectioners Association. So in short, we call it the NCA. And the NCA holds once a year a trade show called Sweets and Snacks. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's candy manufacturers, snack manufacturers, they're kind of all in one place at the same time. to learn together, to meet up with one another, to see trends, and just hold meetings and just kind of see what the industry's doing. Well, I'm always overwhelmed when I go to this place because it's very colorful, it's lots of fun. I see my favorite snacks and treats there. But this year, it seemed like a couple of trends that I noticed. Smaller packaging. It's really important now to have front of packaging signage like the ingredient labels. So that's sort of a demand. Better for you foods, meaning like vegan, specialty foods, gluten-free, keto. Those are really big trends. And also there seems to be like a kind of a Latin flavor spin on things. Pork rinds in America have been around forever, but in sort of Latin flavors, they're called chicharrones that I'm learning myself, but they're called chicharrones and they are spiced differently, sweet and salty. And then also a lot of snack and candy companies are going with churro flavors. So churro is simply cinnamon sugar. Really in the Midwest, I think it's kind of like restaurants where we're still, like Indianapolis, for example, we're still kind of a hub for a lot of chain restaurants to sort of test things out. So I think the same is with candy and snacks. Kind of our retail grocers, like the big chain groceries, if you go to their specialty or candy aisles, whatever you see there is either cutting edge and new and they're looking for data from the Midwest, or it's the tried and true packaging, flavors, and brands. So the Sweets and Snacks trade show has been in Chicago for 26 years. And the exciting news is that Indianapolis is part of a 2-city rotation for this trade show starting next year, 2024. And Indianapolis will host 6 of the next 9 years, with sharing it with Las Vegas. It's a closed show, so it's closed to the public, but we're working on that. But it's a closed show as in the attendees, there's about 16,000 people that come, but the attendees are buyers representing stores, the brokers, and the distributors. So the exhibitors, 800 exhibitors or so, we basically bring our brands and wares and samples to attract the buyers, distributors, and brokers. So it's closed in that sense. The unique thing about Indianapolis is how it's positioned as opposed to Chicago, is it's at the convention center, which is attached to a lot of hotels, and we do have a lot of tourism, even within our state. So Indianapolis will roll out the red carpet for this industry, and it can be confusing because everyone will see it just driving by to and from work. So the association is working on somehow to incorporate some element that will welcome the locals, and I have a feeling that will happen in the next 2 years. So we have been involved with the Sweets and Snacks show for many, many years. In the very beginning, I didn't even know what I was doing. I knew we were a viable brand to take national, but I really wasn't sure how. Years later, we know exactly how. We've reached distribution as far as every Barnes & Noble, regional Target, World Market, regional Kroger. We've been in every Ingles. We've just been a lot of places that we're really proud of, but this is the one trade show where we can take Friddle, the product, our local Indianapolis brand. This is the one place we can take it nationally to get the word out and get it in front of people who might want to take it to their store in other communities.
Up next, Amber Hankins meets an author and entrepreneur who went from barefoot to the boardroom. We'll meet her next. And check out the InnoPower Minority Business Week, kicking off tomorrow with the conference streaming on wishtv.com, June 15th. Welcome back to Business Equity and Opportunities. More and more women are becoming entrepreneurs. According to a study by Gusto, women started 49% of the new businesses in the country in 2021, and every indication is the numbers will be similar or stronger in 22 and this year. Business expert and author Marilyn Moss Rockefeller speaks to the rise of women in positions of leadership in her new book, Mountain Girl, From Barefoot to the Boardroom. She talked with Lifestyle Live's Amber Hankins for this week's success story.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities Success Story.
And I am so pleased and honored to be joined by Marilyn right now. Marilyn, it's so nice to see you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Okay, let's talk about this book. And I also want to talk about the humble beginnings and where your story originally began, because you really do have a story to tell.
Yes, it began in the mountains of West Virginia, the Appalachian Mountains, right on top of the mountain. And I lived with my grandparents for 9 years. Wow. My mother was off trying to build her career in education and couldn't afford, at that time, a babysitter. This was in the 40s, and it was at the very end of the Great Depression. It had lingered in the mountains, and there was a lot of poverty, but I was so fortunate to live with them. They were wonderful people, and they had a self-sustaining farm, so we were never out of food, and it never occurred to me that there was poverty. And they shared what they had, and so my beginnings were wonderful, full of warmth and love and food and a house. Yes.
Absolutely. And I'm curious as to where your journey went from there. I am fascinated by the idea that you had zero business experience and have done so well for yourself in setting such an example for other women out there. Where did that life go from when you were young to where you are today? Where was that culmination of this is what I want to do?
First off, it wasn't what I planned to do. I wanted to be a doctor.
Wow.
But things, take various turns, and you meet various people. And I ended up at the University of Michigan at one time and met my former husband there, who was a designer. And he had C. William Moss Associates and was a foremost known designer. And he had revolutionized the tent market, coming up with a pop tent, which was lightweight, easy to put up, and didn't stink and was very fun. And he went on to design different things, and I started working for him as just a receptionist. Bill was a brilliant designer and artist, but he couldn't run a business. And I don't know about you, but I think women sort of pitch in when things get rough and you need taken care of. So the business wasn't working, and I got in there and had to start running it. And what I used instead of an MBA or any business experience was that beginning of my first 9 years with my grandparents. And I learned just the wonderful values from them of sharing and trusting and caring and respecting people. And I just started running the company with those values and my intuition and intuitive feelings, and ended up with a very loyal, wonderful workforce. I had 164 employees, and we worked together. We all agreed on our mission statement, which was that each individual has worth and dignity, and I wanted to be able to give them the potential to reach their full potential. And so I did that with each one.
I love that. And I would imagine that some of these stories are what we can expect in this book, Mountain Girl, From Barefoot to Boardroom. And I'm very curious, one of the part I wanted to ask you is, you want to unlearn the idea that faking it is a negative thing, that you acted like you knew everything until you learned it, and that allowed you to build the confidence that you needed to succeed and to be respected. I love that line, and I think as women, we can learn so much from that.
I hope so, because I know there's too much of the fake it until you make it. And I decided, no, that's not what I was doing. Yes, I had to fake it because I was running a company. I was the president and CEO, so certainly I had to start acting like one, right? Whether I knew what it was and what I was supposed to do or not. But that gave me the respect and the time to then develop myself and to learn and to take risks, but from mistakes, be sure and learn.
Well, it has been such a pleasure speaking with you. Is there anything else that you would like to tell our viewers, especially the female viewers, in terms of entrepreneurship? Any other advice that you have for them before we leave here?
I think women make great leaders of businesses because I think we have more empathy. And that is really important, that we take the time to get to know the employees and I also think it's a position of a woman being a leader to make that business more socially responsible, in that you introduce the ideas of what domestic abuse is, and you take the time to take care of your employees, and it pays off. I mean, it made a very profitable company. And I'm proud of the way we did it.
I'm proud of the way you did it too, and I think a lot of people could learn from you, Miss Marilyn. You are a leader and a true pioneer in every right. Thank you so much for being such a beautiful example of what it means to be a woman and a career woman all at the same time. I appreciate talking to you.
Thank you.
All right, until next time, Marilyn, thank you.
Our thanks to Amber. That is Business Equity and Opportunities for this week. Our thanks to everybody who shared a story or two with us. If you'd like to learn more about the topics on the show today, find the links on our website. It's beoshow.com. You can also find past segments from each of our 7 weekly topics. Listen to and subscribe to our Business Equity and Opportunities podcast. It's part of the All Indiana Podcast Network. Sign up for our newsletter that we update every Tuesday. If you have questions, a success story to share, you'd like to be on our show, send us an email at beo@wishtv.com. We'll be back next Sunday morning with more Business Equity and Opportunities. Till then, I'm Scott Sander. Have a great Sunday.
Business Equity and Opportunities is made possible by Indiana Economic Development Corporation, InnoPower, Bose McKinney & Evans, Gemco, and Fifth Third Bank.